Why are people always screaming in anime? Let's find out. Make sure you wear some headphones for this one. And if you like the video, please make sure to subscribe. It all started with Monsters, Inc., which revealed a powerful energy source to the world, children's screams.
That's not true.
Monsters, Inc. wasn't a documentary? Oh. Okay, getting back on track. To begin understanding why Bakugo is such a loudmouth or why Jojo Joestar always screams, "Oh my god!" we have to ask ourselves the bigger questions about life, the universe, and everything. No, seriously. The main reason for all the anime screaming comes down to one concept: chi, or vital energy. According to classical Chinese philosophy, chi is the energy permeating everything in the universe, from human beings to even the world itself. Philosophers like Mazinger believe that chi could grow through proper moral conduct. Does that mean I don't have any chi at all? One way to grow your chi is through the meditative practice of qigong. Basically, you breathe and meditate in different poses. The idea is to gather and focus your chi to achieve greater skill through concentrated effort, which sounds a heck of a lot like Hamon to me. What, you remember Hamon? Well, neither does Araki. You see, way back in the first season of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, trained fighters can manifest Hamon energy through a special breathing technique. Hamon is the same as the energy from the sun, which makes it an effective vampire fighting weapon. Oh, and just so you remember, there were vampires back then in JoJo too. Anyhow, there's clearly a cultural precedent for using meditation and breathing to increase your focus, and it goes way beyond JoJo. The concept of chi made its way to Japan in the 6th and 7th century, where it further evolved into the concept of ki. Both chi and ki are used in Japanese language in a variety of different ways, from telling someone to be careful, kiotsukete, to having a feeling about something. It can even be used as slang for having an orgasm. Kiyoyaru. Whether it's chi or ki, it's an expression of the energy within us and everything around us. Many anime, especially shonen battle anime, revolve around an energy similar to ki. It can be referenced straight up, like DBZ's ki or Yu Yu Hakusho's spirit energy, or Reiki. Other times it's just alluded to, like Black Clover's mana and Saint Seiya's Cosmo. Ki acts as a power-up and often goes hand in hand with a lot of shouting, and all that shouting has a foundation in martial arts. Martial artists would use a shout, or ki, when they perform their moves as a way to focus their power. Some martial arts masters have even claimed to be able to knock people out with their ki, which sounds a lot like Luffy's Haoshoku Haki. You probably can't actually kick someone's ass just by yelling. Well, that'd be so badass, but we can't all be present mic. And that's not all the good ki can do. Like ki can apply to a bunch of situations in the Japanese language. Ki can describe any time you concentrate your feelings to pump yourself up for something. Like in High Score Girl, Haru shouts before he plays the game, but also before he approaches Akira. And for another real life example, ki is an actual term in the game of Go. Sadly, that doesn't mean the players are screaming at each other over a board game. It's more about focusing energy to play more aggressively and add oomph to the moves and strategy. You can see a version of this in Hunter x Hunter when Meruem is facing off against Palm in a game of Gungi, which is clearly just a legally distinct version of Go. If you haven't seen the episodes, check them out. A high-stakes, multi-episode battle plays out through the board game, and at the climax, we get to see Palm sprinkle a little ki on her final moves. At any rate, now you know the historical significance behind ora and ata. By focusing their ki, Star Platinum and Kenshiro can hit their foes that much harder. That was a lame. I shouldn't fight anyone. Okay, so all that yelling is starting to make sense, but anime characters don't just yell, they also scream the names of their special moves. Naturally. You know, like Yusuke's Spirit Gun, Goku's Kamehameha, Akagi's Slam Dunk, or All Might's Detroit Smash. It's not like real world martial artists scream punch or kick when they fight. So what gives? Still really bad at the punch. Well, the strategically questionable trend might have all come from one particular anime series, Mazinger Z. Based on the manga by the legendary Go Nagai, Mazinger Z was the second ever super robot anime, and it helped to popularize the mecha genre as we know it. The hot-blooded Koji Kabuto pilots Mazinger Z to defeat Dr. Hell and Baron Ashura. Every episode, the opening theme sings the praises of Mazinger Z's unbeatable strength and its signature move, like the Rocket Punch, Photon Beam, and Breast Fire. Breast Fire? Which is different from the Opie missiles, naturally, because those come from the female mechs.
Of course.
Of course. Like a martial artist Ki, Koji Kabuto would yell out the names of these special attacks as he performed them. And because the theme song teased those iconic attacks, actually seeing them in action got audiences hyped. Those signature moves and the hype behind their shouts defined Mazinger Z, along with Shonen and the Super Robot series going forward. Then with the advent of fighting games like Street Fighter, shouting special moves became even more popular and widespread. But Mazinger Z didn't start it. We have to go back to the Edo period to see its origins. In a traditional kabuki performance, the audience is as much a part of the action as the players on stage. Audience members are encouraged to hype up the whole room by cheering for the lead at key dramatic moments. These shouts, called kakegoe, are paired with mie, or dynamic poses combined with exaggerated facial expressions. And that, friends, may be the very first JoJo reference of all time, one that predates JoJo itself. Okay, so we know about screaming power-ups and about yelling move names, but what do we call those characters who go a little too carried away? You know, the ones who just seem to scream for the sake of screaming? There's a word for that. Genki. You ever meet a motor mouth? Someone who just can't stop talking, even if they aren't even saying anything? It's like they have so much energy that you just put them like, in a big hamster wheel and they never get tired. That's a Genki. By itself, the word Genki means full of energy, and it's how you'd respond if someone asked you how you're doing in Japanese. Because Genki is such a lively word, Genki characters, especially girls and women, are over-the-top go-getters and high achievers. They've got a lot to say and seemingly no time to say it. Think Tomo from Azumanga Daioh, Mako from Kill la Kill, Haruko from Fooly Cooly, Ed from Cowboy Bebop, and especially Excel from Excel Saga. I mean, Excel Saga is Genki as a series. Series director Shinichi Watanabe is particularly known for his extremely hyperactive style. He even appears in his own work as the most handsome and overpowered guy in the universe, Nabe Shin. The last episode of the show was made specifically not to air on TV, with the blood, nudity, and sex jokes all dialed up to 11. As you might imagine, a show this off the wall has a lot of screaming in it. No joke, Excel herself was so hyper that her English voice actress lost her voice halfway during recording and had to be replaced for the rest of the show. But it's all for the sake of comedy. The series is aware of how over the top it is, and all the screaming just drives the wackiness home, as well as the voice actress, apparently. Although Nabe-shin wowed audiences with his hyper-expressive Super Genki anime, like the little-known Dodo Koni-chan, which became huge in Latin America, he hasn't been very active in the anime industry lately. But he wasn't the first, nor is he the last, to bring the zany Genki spirit. From the mid-1980s to 2011, Studio Gainax was known for its over-the-top, hot-blooded shows. Series like Blazing Transfer Student and Gunbuster, which were parodies of earlier anime, laid the groundwork for Hiroyuki Maishi's Kill la Kill and Gurren Lagann, respectively. Gunbuster, with its emphasis on hard work and guts, was especially known for its characters calling out their attacks during climactic scenes, like a Mazinger, and it gave anime fans the first example of the signature Gainax pose.
Our framing doesn't allow Kirk to do the Gainax pose. I'm sorry.
Does this work, everyone? And you know we can't talk about yelling and posing without mentioning JoJo. With the character's chiseled bods and strong facial expressions, we can definitely see the influence that European sculptors had on Araki. But I'm willing to bet the kabuki attitude still expresses itself through JoJo poses. After all, the same phrase for cutting a kabuki pose, mirakira, also means mouthing off to someone in a cocky way. And if that doesn't fit JoJo to a T, I don't know what does. In my opinion, JoJo's Bizarre Adventure is the perfect balance of special move kiais and comedic Genki screaming. We already mentioned Star Platinum's catchphrase, but plenty of characters yell out their stands names as they send them into action. Hermit Purple, Silver Chariot, and the most famous one of all, Zoado! And then like, can we get the effect? I don't know, that's probably hard to edit. Pretend that happened. Hell, Kakuin's Hierophant Green even has its own special move, Emerald Splash! And when JoJo's characters aren't screaming stand names, they're just screaming in general. Specifically, you've got Old Joseph in Part 3's classic catchphrase, "Oh my God!" He screams it all the time, and it's never not funny, trust me. Part of the joy in JoJo is watching chiseled dudes react in over-the-top ways to the most mundane things. Now, you might think those overwrought moments are anime at its most anime. There are countless examples of characters having a meltdown over stuff, like seeing a cute person wearing cat ears. It's one of those things like wacky hair and oversized eyes that is just so anime. I've already talked about kabuki, but another Japanese theatrical art has contributed to this trope. No is traditional Japanese theater that includes song, dance, and comedic interludes between the acts called kyogen. Kyogen are fairly short and always center around some sort of goof. The laughs come from clever jokes and, you guessed it, super exaggerated facial expressions and reactions. But it's wrong to assume this is just a Japanese thing. If you've ever seen a telenovela, you know getting real worked up over little things is a multicultural experience. Sure, there's humor in it, but there's also drama, and I know all you messy people out there love drama as much as I do. Hell, that's why shows like Kaguya-sama Love is War exist. The show is one long satire on exaggerated reactions and high-stakes confessions. So while there are plenty of Japanese traditions that normalize shouting at the top of your lungs, it's really an international phenomenon. But what about those anime screaming moments that are funny for all the wrong reasons? Look no further than the confession scene in Ski ga Kire, which made waves across the internet. Similar to Old Man Joestar, English-speaking viewers laughed at main character Kotaro's melodramatic scream. I love you! In Japanese culture, there are the concepts of hone and tatemae, or real face versus a public front. Basically, showing strong emotion so honestly is a taboo in Japan. Because of this, melodrama can be seen as hilarious escapism in a comedy or brave and heartfelt in a romance. Making a confession is a high-stakes gesture, especially when the Japanese sometimes consider saying I love you outright as way too strong. So while many can find Kotaro's confession cheesy and extreme, it has its fans because of the amount of guts it takes to say something so bold and intense, albeit very badly. Just as yelling can be a bold way to convey one's true intentions, it can also be a good way to mask them. Tsunderes do this all the time, because it's not like they like you or anything. But that's not to say harsh exteriors can only be found in romance. Take Bakugo for example. His explosive personality definitely matches his quirk, but all of his bravado hides a deep insecurity. Even as a kid, he was constantly praised for his powers, so he always gives 110% to try to live up to that high standard. But as he faces off with his classmates and realizes that aggression can't solve his problems, he comes to respect Deku and the others, toning himself down. So there might be hope for a little short fuse after all. Finally, I'm sorry if I'm the first to tell you all, but anime isn't real life. Cartoonish exaggeration is part of any animated story because we as the viewers get a lot of information on how someone delivers a line and what face they're making when doing so. Like me right now and whatever Adrian tells me to make a face at you with. Detroit Smash! Sounds like kind of badass, but you know, Detroit Smash just sounds like some really weird energy drink. It's all about delivery, so it makes sense that anime shouts are as exaggerated as its eyes. Now I'm gonna do a power up of my own. Thank you for watching. I'm Kurt. This is GetintheRobot, your anime explainer. I'm out.